Welcome to the Sports Wrap. George Ringer. Is this our first guest?
Is it?
I don't know.
You told me you had multiple guests. It's like a normal thing.
It's just like he very well might be, and you know, hey, do we have a better guest?
Hey.
Hard to get more prestigious in this community.
Ty Boyle, I suspect many of you recognize him, and Ty, thanks for coming on. And what's going on in the Falls that brings you here this time of the year?
Just coming up for a couple of weeks. You know, I hear that the rain's great right now, so a lot of good water. That's great. No, it's come up for the week. Just got a little bit of leave, and then I'm going to go do the Boundary Waters next week, actually, with my new wife Madeline. As long as it opens
When he
back
mentions
up.
we, you know, I mean, he took it upon himself to go out and find himself a gracious, intelligent woman to marry, and very attractive besides. So, yeah, no, I don't feel bad for him on that. In fact, I met her for about 10 minutes, and I says, geez, I hope he doesn't goof this one up, and he hasn't. So,
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
You got to marry up.
You gotta marry up. Yeah, that's good advice. That's for sure.
So, how long in the Boundary Waters?
5 days.
5 days. Just
5
you
days.
two, or you guys?
Just us two. Yeah.
Oh,
50
boy.
miles. So what she's agreed on is that as long as we do like a beach week during our vacation, then I can do an adventure week.
Sure.
And since she kind of, for whatever reason, likes to spend time with me, she comes along on these adventures. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, are you still running marathons, or what's happening?
yeah, marathons, kind of get into triathlons and some bike riding now. So I'm still competitive.
Had to change it up a little bit.
Had to change it up a little bit. I try to learn how to swim. I'm not a very good swimmer, but I try. So.
Well, he is
we never had to worry about that.
He is in the Army, and they like to keep them active.
That is true.
You know, so I imagine you lead some marches and do some runs with the boys
Yeah,
periodically.
marches and runs. Did a Army competition in 2019, the Best Ranger competition. So it's pretty cool. They usually 62 teams. It's a two-man team. You go 75 miles over a 48-hour period. So you kind of stay up for 3 nights.
Just
2
think
nights.
how much fun that is.
Yeah.
And
A lot of
they
fun.
give you what, a knife and toothpick or what?
Yeah, they give you a knife. If you win, you get a couple weapons, that sort of thing. The prizes are actually pretty good.
Oh, good.
But we got 4th place the year that I did it.
Hey,
It's all right.
that's grueling.
So does that mean you've retired from that kind of activity?
Well, you're allowed to do it 3 times in your career.
Okay.
So I'm on the older end now as a 33-year-old, but I may still come out of retirement here for the competition.
See, it goes
Get a bunch
by
of
fast, doesn't it?
19-year-olds in the Army. You know?
It goes by fast.
So you do that? Is this kind of going to be a lifetime thing now, as being in the Army thing? That we've got what? You went to college. You tried out with the I won't even say them. I'll just say in the NFL, because I'm not a big Steelers fan, but my brother is, so that's why.
I love the uniforms, man.
So that means you're about 10 years in. Is this
Yeah, so
that continues?
9 years now. So I think each job I say, do the next job, which is usually about 2 to 3 years, and then I'll decide to stay in or stay out. So no plans to get out right now. We're still
See,
enjoying
these
it.
guys that are in those units, rank and rating really doesn't mean anything because they're not going to get it anyway. So you got to kind of just do what you're intended on doing. I see some of these older generals and stuff, and I'm starting to recognize some of those medals on their chest. And boy, I'll tell you what, they've accomplished a lot. They all have combat infantry badges, and a couple of them have Purple Heart sticks on them. And I mean, you can see them, and I think, you look a little bit old now, but there was a time that you could lip rips, and it's amazing what they do. So, hey, we congratulate you and real proud of you. So
Appreciate it, George.
So, what sports do you follow? Where should we start? We should talk.
let's talk about North Dakota playing spring football.
North Dakota playing spring football. I can do that.
And
the running back being named preseason All-American.
Oh,
Right, and then obviously North Dakota State got lucky a couple times last year, and for the last decade it would seem. But I think we're right. The Fighting Hawks are
the
right.
wind is going to blow stronger from the north.
Well, yeah, except for you're in the indoor stadium, so
Yeah.
no winds. But it could happen.
They got NDSU. Talk about a monkey off the back. I've been in games on both campuses, and I know the difference between Moo U and Sioux Sucks, and they still run the same messages. But a great game, and then North Dakota just picked up right from there, played hardcore defense, and a great offense with really talented people.
Yeah, I think obviously the athletes at UND have just increasingly gotten better since my time there. I always gave Mike Manasso a hard time, another great alum, and Eric Moe, that we were more athletic than they were, and these guys are obviously way more athletic than I think we were
really
during
fast.
our time. But yeah, I think that's pretty exciting to watch. Last year was weird. I wasn't actually able to get back to a game last year with everything going on. So this next year, I know me and a lot of the alumni are excited to get back in the stands and watch those games.
I know when you guys went, when the change was made after you got through, and they were talking about going from the 1AA up, or from Division II to 1AA, and making that move. They said it's going to take time. It takes time to bring that many athletes in.
It does, and I think obviously I don't know if we thought it was going to take this long. North Dakota's had a great program for obviously a lot of years, but it's like with any sport. I mean, it can be so close. You're talking about like a couple different kicks. Landing the right recruit, the recruit being able to stick around and stay healthy at the right time.
Those fifth-year guys and all like that, you know what I mean? Now you got transfers and portals coming in. You can pick up an awful lot of talent, and they take a look at North Dakota now as potential national champions, and they are. They can play with any of those teams, and I find it pretty exciting in Grand Forks.
Yeah.
So can I ask this question? Would it be better for South Dakota State to win a championship than North Dakota State to win a championship? Where were you at when South Dakota State was playing Sam Houston State?
Sam Houston.
So, you're the first, you're last, right? So I think for me specifically, once North Dakota's out of it, I'm not paying too much close attention, unless it's North Dakota State. So, but then there's always the weirdness too, right? If you're now that they're in the same conference, if someone's going to win the national championship, that's not you. Might as well be somebody in your conference.
Well,
played a couple times.
What I liked about the whole thing was the format: 16 teams, and they were able to work it down from 16 teams. And apparently the D1 schools haven't figured that out yet. That you can legitimately have a tournament of some very good football teams, and so each weekend, I was buckled and strapped on. Especially the first weekend was like 4 games. I kind of liked it. It was a good deal. We were football starved anyway, so it fit the bill for us.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to talk about Wyatt Ulrich for a few minutes?
All right, let's talk about him.
Wyatt Ulrich had his 29-game hitting streak broke last week. I think we had that on the show last week. But he's been on base 41 straight games. Think about that. They play 6 games a week, so that means for 7 weeks he's been on base in every game for the last 7 weeks.
And do we care whether he walks or gets a hit?
I don't.
No, we do not.
Not according to
It's still the
Moneyball.
same thing if you get on the ball, if you get on base, right? They made a movie about that.
They did. It's a great movie. One of my favorite.
Wyatt's batting .367 right now, so the average is dipping, but the on-base percentage is remaining to stay high. I know he had three walks yesterday, I believe, in the game that I was following along with yesterday. So continuing to have a great season.
These pitchers aren't going to give him anything to hit.
No, that's true, and of course he's got his own bobblehead. So the Mr. Lark bobblehead.
Is that the first Falls alumni bobblehead?
I would guess that.
I never got a bobblehead.
I don't know if Bronco Nagurski ever had a bobblehead.
Oh, they probably had a reunion
maybe,
game.
But he's either first or second. I can't think of anybody else who'd have had a bobblehead.
I got Dylan Mills from the U of M bobblehead, but I think that might be the only bobblehead. But hey, I'd invest in a Wyatt bobblehead. I bet you his parents got about 20 of them.
Why not?
They like Wyatt.
Well, as you know, International Falls is known for its baseball, George.
Well, that's
so.
right, but he really sticks to it, and and like I say, he swings it at anything inside, outside, and he connects. He hits to the opposite field real well. He runs the bases real well, plays defense real well. We got a live one here.
It's good stuff. So it seems like just like when we were following Ty Boyle, like only 11 years ago. Was it?
Yeah.
15 years ago, I graduated high school.
15 from high school, and what about when you tried out with the Steelers?
Oh yeah, 10 years ago probably.
2010 or 2011, right?
2011. Yeah.
2011. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, you guys will both remember this, but I remember right in front of the stands as I'm calling the games, I'm looking down, it's 3rd and 5, and I'm thinking, this poor tackle is just going to get hammered, and he doesn't even know it yet. And they do that tackle trap, and you come over and just kill this poor guy, and you run for 15 or 20 yards, and it was so predictable, and there was absolutely nothing you could do about it. That was fun to watch. You had a very good cross block there.
So this morning, Seth Edison calls me a couple days ago. He says, "Come and talk to the boys before they go down to state." So
what are you gonna say to him?
I'm just gonna say what I did say to him. So first, they have like 18 kids that are going down to the Bemidji State summer camp. We never were able to get 18 guys to go down to a summer camp. So
you
hopefully,
couldn't even put on shoulder pads back in your day during the summer because it was illegal to do that. I mean, you could go into an individual camp, but you couldn't go to a team camp like these kids.
Yeah,
do.
so 18 guys, so that's pretty good. But what I told them was they had asked about about like grit and I may have forgot. Seth had brought up the fact that I could have got pretty excited during these high school football games. But I was telling them there's probably nothing more fun than like when you pull as an offensive lineman on one of those sweeps, and you can just like hit a linebacker, a cornerback, and
there's somebody out there waiting.
A lot of small guys out there
Yeah.
just waiting for you,
So I'll ask, because this is an old lineman question. 30 trap, pulling on the jet sweep. Which one was more fun?
So I think early on in the career, the 30 trap, like sophomore, junior year, because I mean that's like when you got your one big hit.
Yeah.
But then once I figured out that you could get like a big hit and then you can go get a second one, that was the jet sweep, right? Because once on the 30 trap, you were kind of one and done at that point. You were going to fall into a bunch of other D tackles or offensive linemen and just kind of sit there.
You always get their head twitching because they don't know if it might be coming again, and it opens so quick.
Well, the best part is too is then I think about my senior year there, it didn't even really matter which way I blocked because the running backs were good enough; they just went the other way.
They were good.
So it definitely makes the linemen look good.
We did one of their games last fall in broadcasting.
For the classic Bronco Classic. Absolutely, those were fun. I did take the opportunity to watch the 04 highlight tape when we first put the jet in. And those were fun. Those were fun times.
That sweep, we used to call it a reach, but that is really a fun play, especially if you got a guy that can scoot it. Yeah, there's no doubt. So much for football. That's a great sport, isn't it?
It is.
You were talking about the kids and getting grit and some of these things that you've had to actually use in the real world, and you're going to be able to lay that one on them, tell them, here, this is what I do, and this is
I think the one thing that I did tell them, whether it was playing Bronco football or other Bronco sports, multiple sports obviously, and then going to college and trying to go to the Steelers thing, and then everything I've done after the Steelers is I think I kind of realized the difference, and I was talking to you this about the gym. So George has a little bit of discipline because I see him every time I come into town up at Northside, right? Or now it's Strive Fitness.
Yeah.
Do we get paid for the plug to Strive Fitness?
No,
too bad. All right, but George is there so that's how whenever I come to town, I know I'm going to see George. George got discipline. So I was trying to explain to these guys the difference between motivation and discipline is kind of my new thing that I've been on. So motivation is what we all think that we need, right? It's I'm going to take my pre-workout, I'm going to get excited for this one game. That works in like a short period of time. It's going to die off pretty quick, but if these guys, that football team, the Broncos can understand discipline, realize that, hey, even on the days that I don't want to go to practice, I still got to go to practice. If the car doesn't start, it's my fault. It's nobody else's fault, right? You got to have the discipline to get to practice on time. If you kind of drive that into your life, then I don't care if it's business or football or the Army, you're probably going to be pretty successful.
somewhere along the line.
Except for calculus, you'll probably still get a D in calculus.
Yeah, you just got to dodge erasers. That's all.
Right.
But
You follow the Twins at all anymore?
No, just a little bit.
Just
Tell me
a
how
little-
the Twins are doing. Right?
Well, the Twins won 4 games going into the All-Star break.
and then they dropped
And
3
then
to
they
the
dropped-
same team coming out.
They dropped 3 to Detroit coming out. They scored 4 runs in 3 games. Not a good performance, and we've been talking. George and I have been talking since the middle of May. The Twins are going to come back. The Twins are going to come back. You just got to hold hope. Got to hold hope. The hope is gone. George has finally come to my faith.
I looked up and Barrio says I'm looking for a better contract, and I thought, oh, they could probably. I mean, a lot of things could happen in the next couple of weeks.
They have become sellers. Absolutely.
But we've got Ohtani's coming to town,
Yeah?
and
You're getting tickets so you can go watch them?
no, I'm not. But boy, I'll tell you what, he's one guy that I would pay to see. And and so in one of those 2 days, you'll probably get to see him pitch, and you'll be able to see him hit. I don't know, what are they here for 4 days or something?
Okay.
Now the Chicago thing, they're a doubleheader today and a doubleheader tomorrow.
They're busy. Yeah, they got
they're
lots
busy.
of games to get
Yeah,
in here.
that's,
and it didn't help that they lost a day in Detroit. They had a doubleheader planned with Detroit, and so now they got to reschedule another game. And but by that time, it'll kind of be over. But it's going to be interesting to see in 2 weeks when we do this show who's left on this team. I mean, who's gone? Who do they get these prospects for? Because it's going to change. The Barrio story, as you mentioned, that was in the Star Tribune today on Monday, scared the bejeebers out of me. I understand he's worth a lot of money. There's no doubt about it. But he kind of made it like the Twins haven't really offered me anything yet, and now I don't really care what they offer me. I'm going to go out there and see what's best.
Yes.
I'm not committed to staying here, And somebody might offer him 15, 16 million a year, where the Twins might only offer him 11 or 12 or something.
And on a certain team, he'd be worth it. And baseball is a funny thing. Like the guy that won the home run derby over the course of the last 2 years has made $2 million at a home run derby. I mean, it's. I never got paid that much, so I hard for me to understand. So these guys know how to make dough, and they do.
Absolutely, isn't that? Well, that's you can go out there and get it while you can, because you're not going to be able to play the game forever. Not everybody's Nelson Cruz, right?
Yeah, well, that's what Ty has to tell himself every day when he goes to work.
So how about the Olympics? Will you be into the Olympics over the next?
Oh, I'll be watching the Olympics. I hear nobody else will be there to watch the Olympics in the stands, but the TV's still going to be cooking.
TV will still be there.
It's like if we all become like experts about like random sports during the Olympics. That's my favorite part of the Olympics.
I think that's good. That's good. You became
must have been
become
20
a better archer.
Yeah, 2010 North Dakota football. I remember sitting there in the lounge, and we all got in like the, I don't know, name your track event that nobody had ever heard of. Not like your normal track events, right? But it's like the pentalon or
Pentathlon.
pentathlon, and there you go. Maybe not as good as the Winter Olympics, where you got guys like skiing into shooting, but
Biathlon is very cool. I dig that. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The Olympics start Tuesday night our time. I think it's 10 p.m. our time. The women's softball team plays their first game, and then women's soccer I think plays like at 3:30 in the morning Wednesday. So George will be up to watch that. So we get a good report
No,
on it.
probably not, but I will get up to watch Gable Steveson when he's wrestling.
Yeah,
But I just go to this Olympics for a second. We've got a whole bunch of new sports. We have surfing, skateboarding, 3-on-3 basketball. Get this,
3-on-3
freestyle BMX, that's bike riding, karate, baseball, and softball. And so there's baseball and softball used to be on until 2008. Then they dumped them, but they're going to Japan. Guess what they like to do in Japan?
They like baseball.
players.
Play baseball. So they
said that it's not in for 2024 yet, but could return in 2028 when the Olympics start in Los Angeles. I'm like, well, if you're going to do it in 2020 and 2028, you might as well do it in 2024 as well. That didn't make sense.
I want to know what sports we cut so we could play 3-on-3 basketball.
Well, I don't know, but you should see some of the 3-on-3 basketball teams. They're all pretty good basketball players, former NBA guys.
I have not committed myself to watching 3-on-3. I call it 3x3 because they got the X in there. I won't say. I just. It's one of those things. It's kind of like. no, I'm not going to do it, but I suspect it's just like rugby sevens. You know, rugby's played with, I think, 15 players. They play sevens. It's a still the same game, but it's not the same game. So maybe 3-on-3 basketball will make an impression on me during the Olympics.
So there's this young lady from St. Paul. Her name is Kyra Condi. She's into sports climbing. Now, sports climbing as a competition consists of lead climbing, boulder climbing, and speed climbing. And so they get a combination of this, but America has 4 athletes in this. There's 20 people in the competition. We got 2 women and 2 men, and they had a picture of this lady climbing a wall, and I mean, hey, she had a set of hands that just as big as yours.
I believe it.
They
Probably
were
way
just
stronger.
And she's, what did you? Well, your hands have to be tough. Yeah, she's clinging on by a finger. But you know, I think that's going to be interesting to watch. And let me see, what else did I have?
I can see Ty getting into something like that.
Yeah, we got to do a little bit of climbing. That's why I just got really interested into this thing.
Yeah.
Climbing's tough. You got to be upper body strong.
Oh no, and you got to know what you're doing. You got to have balance. You got to have flexibility. You got to have all that
It's a technical
stuff.
sport.
One other thing, just one other thing, mixed gender events.
Yes.
We've got mixed 4x100 swimming, that's a medley. We have mixed 4x400 relay in track and field. Archery, there's match play, 1 man, 1 woman. In triathlete competition, they have what they call a super sprint. 300-meter swim, a 7K bike ride, and a 2K run. So that's a toss-up there. And judo is a mixed team event. So how that comes, shooting now. They got rid of a lot of traditional stuff. They used to have pistol shooting, prone shooting, you know, all the rest of these. So now they've changed it just to air rifles and things like that. And that's a mixed team event as well. And just to bring that up, George Patton one time won a gold medal in the Olympics in 1912 with pistol shooting. So that
That's a random fact.
That is really up. That we've never known that.
Yeah, and then we have table tennis. Mixed doubles have been with table tennis since 1926 competitively, and this is the first year that the Olympics is going to allow it as a debut. And so these are some of the things are just changing in terms of the Olympics.
So we know wrestling. We know we're into the whole wrestling thing, whatever. But what's the one you call it? Maybe we become experts in obscure sports. What's the one event that you guys are going to watch that would be not on the beaten path? What is it that kind of?
You know, there's some of those track and field events that are just incredible, and when you think of putting your finest track athletes out there, and when you take a look at a guy that runs a 400-meter hurdles, he's capable of doing an awful lot of things for him to do it at that level. I was in Montreal one time and watched him work out, and it was like watching ballet dancers. They just ran and floated and ran and floated. There's a whole bunch of those there. So I'm going to keep a close eye on the track and field. There's not much I'm gonna miss. The gymnastics, because it's such a strong American team. That's going to be Shimon.
Provided the COVID issues don't come into play.
As long as it doesn't. And Shimon Biles she's, I'm looking forward to this thing. I'm not sure they should be running it, but they're going to.
I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it, and it's, that's kind of just the way it works. But this is kind of that hot summer type thing where
I think the random like powerlifting event.
Oh, the weightlifting,
right?
yeah.
Because like you gotta like be something you can do but you don't do really well, like really intrigue you, right? So like I don't know, I can watch somebody golfing because I'm not a good golfer, right? Lifting, I'm a strong guy relatively, right? But like they can lift some like crazy amount of weights. Like so there'll be some female that's like snatching, twice as much weight as I can over her head. That's impressive.
It is.
I want to watch that. They're extremely technical too, right? If you're not paying attention to like what a power lifter can do.
Well,
I mean, it's all
especially
technique.
coming into the women. I mean, 20 years ago, I didn't see powerful athletes and the women that were coming out. There's all kinds of them now. And no matter what sport you're in, and including weightlifting, including wrestling, these women are tough and they're strong and they're dedicated to their sport. And also I picked up this statistic when I was coaching girls basketball, and somebody said women that are competitive in sports at the interscholastic or intercollegiate level, for the most part, do not suffer from domestic abuse. And I thought, so I train my girls like that, do I? Okay, that gives me a choice.
Well, I think the cool thing too with the Summer Olympics is, technical sports are really cool, but there's something just very like human about like I'm going to run faster than you.
Yes.
I'm going to jump farther. So
and some of these vaulters.
You sit there and you watch it, you're like, that's not normal, That's like, you can jump that far. I was flying up, when I was flying up here, I was watching the 30 for 30 on Bo Jackson. If you don't watch the Bo Jackson 30 for 30, it's like pretty amazing. You forget how, he probably, like I'm now reconvinced that he was like the greatest athlete in the last 50 years, right?
Yeah, think about what he could have accomplished without the hip injury.
Yeah, if he wouldn't have got hurt, right? But they talk about that.
He never lifted weights, guys.
Yeah, 225 pounds. Ran a 4.140, the fastest ever at the combine still. His way is at least what they say in 30 for 30. Now that is just like, I don't know, you could say like, was he the best football player or whatever. The guy was 225 pounds and he ran a 4.140.
Oh, you could hit a
or 40 meters, 4.1.
They used to sell T-shirts that says, Bo don't know wrestling, and somebody I had it on. He said, oh yeah, he'd learn it in a week, which was probably true.
Yeah.
He was really pieced together, as I recall. In fact, one of the baseball players lined up and he went to the batter's box and they looked at him and he says, that's the kind of build you get from doing push-ups? And
how about the Tour de France? Do you follow the Tour de France?
Yeah, I follow the Tour de France because I'm a biker now, right? So like, not as much as some people. I usually just get on the bike. I don't say enough time to follow all these right now, but like I'm just kind of amazed. But all friends that follow straight the Tour de France, I'm always getting the updates about them when I'm on the road bikes.
Tadej Pogačar wins it for the second. He's only 22.
Yes.
Goes out and wins his second straight Tour de France. The impressive thing to me, and it made me think of Lance Armstrong this week, and maybe not in the negative way at all. But he went out and won 2 stages. He was in the lead this week, and then went out and won 2 stages, just kind of like to say, boys, I'm here. I'm not going away.
Well, and keep in mind,
and I'm going to put you go ahead, try to push me because I'm going to beat you.
He had an incredible team.
Oh,
and they hounded him like a defensive line, for crying out loud. They were all wrapped around him, and then when it was time for him to, then he footed, and nobody could catch up with him. But that United Arab Emirates team is a classy outfit. They were attached to each other's hip and going up those hills, my lord.
You must get to do a little bit of that. The mountain stuff.
The mountain stuff, yeah. Not as much now because I'm down in, I live in Georgia, so it's a little bit flatter down there.
Sure.
But I was out in Colorado Springs. We were doing a lot of bike riding.
A lot of bikers out there.
So.
Yeah.
But I think the coolest part about that you don't, I never realized until I started biking a lot and then reading Lance Armstrong's books actually is how much of a team sport that is, right? Like not just with the guys out there, but the crews they have. It's another thing where like you can watch it and be like, oh, there's biking really fast. It's something we do, but like they're not just biking, right? Like they're talking about sweating off different ounces and pounds on different parts of the bike to try to get them up to the speeds that they're running.
Look at these guys. They weigh 140 pounds and they got legs like this. I mean, these are some of the most powerful athletes in the world in terms of their legs and stuff. But you don't see a 200-pound biker anywhere. Not in that competition. They're all legs. They're incredible athletes. And you remember the one time that they tried to have that Albatross airplane that was hand pedaled to lift it off the ground. It was non-engine. They used a bike rider for that.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, me too.
How about the NBA? Follow the NBA?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
Lose me on this one, right?
Milwaukee wins on Saturday night
great
on
game.
the road. First road win in the NBA Finals to go up 3 games to 2. So George, I ask you, do they finish it off on Tuesday night? Do they win it in 6, Milwaukee?
Well, Oh, talk about stick. Yeah, I think they very well could. They have it at home. This is the 4th game. If
Okay, so if they don't win it on Tuesday night, can they win back in
Yes.
Phoenix again?
I think they can. And but I also, I mean, there's no doubt that Phoenix could win in Milwaukee. And these guys, they're like, grabbing somebody by the throat. They aren't going to give it up. And these are hardcore professionals, and it all depends how well Milwaukee shoots from the outside. And Milwaukee's got a pretty nice team.
I think that's the difference right now. Milwaukee seems to have 3 guys they can depend upon, and Phoenix only has 2. And Chris Paul seems to have lost maybe a little of the explosion, maybe the end of the season. It's tired. He just doesn't seem to have it the last couple of games. So
I'll tell you what I do notice in the NBA this time of year, the defense improves a lot. And these
I didn't
guys.
know they played defense in the NBA. I thought that's the reason why 3-on-3 was going to be better, because
And ordinarily,
they're going to give it up.
Ordinarily, I have to agree with you, and they travel too much too. And that being said, they can shoot so well from outside. You got Kevin Durant, that's he's 7 feet tall, and he can shoot from anywhere and handle the ball and do any of the rest of that. Chad Holmgren, he's going to be doing the same thing. These are all 7 foot outside. They don't ever touch the paint anymore. They go, but they really were slapping the ball, really going after the glass, and the referees were letting them go. And so there were people on the ground and hurting, and yeah, they're fighting out there.
did you watch any golf this weekend?
I did. And you
You
want to know
got a little
something?
golf in the morning, everything else in the afternoon. Morikawa. He's another one of these youthful superstars. They seem to come out of everything, but this guy took control of this golf course and beat everybody back. Yeah, I thought when he faltered a little bit on Saturday, I thought,
Here they come.
Is he gonna find his way? Well, I say he faltered on Saturday, it was early, and they said that at Royal St. George's, the toughest holes were at the first 5 or 6. He played the last 31 holes bogey-free.
Bogey-free.
Bogey-free for the last 31 holes. That's tough to do.
That's like how you're golfing, George.
Well, I got into other things, but it's one of the, when you take a look at, he doesn't drive hard. But his short game is just amazing. And
yeah, I think I turned it on yesterday morning, and they said he's 114th in driving distance for the week, and I'm like, well, there were only 156 players, but he was like 3rd in fairways hit, 2nd in greens in regulation, and like 1st in putting or something. There's some astronomical numbers, and the announcer said that's old-time golf. You don't have to hit it far, and that's the thing about the Open. The courses aren't that long. It's about accuracy, and you don't have to hit it far, and that's what he was doing. He said on his press conference, I was listening to it on the way home yesterday from the range, and he said, I think it was like hole 13 or 14, that he hit a 5-wood off the tee. He said, without my caddy there, he said, I would have never even thought to hit 5-wood, but he came up and said, I think you should hit 5-wood here. It's the right distance, it's the right club for the situation. And he said, it was the ideal shot. In hindsight, he said it was the perfect call. It's exactly the distances I needed, and it worked out. So, he was talking about his team, it's just not him and the caddy, it's the guys who are setting the hotels, and you got that whole team. And for a kid who's 24 years old,
Morikawa is going to be a name to be recognized with for 2 decades.
I thought Spieth was going to. He reminds me a lot of Spieth, of what Jordan did a couple of years ago. I thought Spieth was going to take him down when he got to 14 under and 13 under. I thought Jordan's footsteps might be being hurt a little bit, but then he made that birdie to get to 15 under, and I think things calmed down, and it was over from there. So
there's a 3M Open coming here in Blaine this week.
Yeah.
So they're all coming from there to here.
Some of the guys are coming. Dustin Johnson's going to be playing. Sergio Garcia, Tony Finau, Oosthuizen is scheduled to play as of right now. So there's some stars out there that are going to be in the field this week. It would be great to go down and watch, but we'll have to say it this way. Maybe next year. You can't be everywhere.
Oh, yeah, walk around the golf course, 93 degrees. Ty and I will watch it on TV.
Yeah, sounds
And
good.
plus you can see everything a whole lot better from there.
Yeah, you can.
There's no doubt
I've
about it.
always wanted to go to a major tournament. I've never done that.
George is into the Loons, by the way, now. He wants to talk Minnesota United soccer.
We can talk about Minnesota United soccer.
And I'll tell you, George, before we get into this soccer thing, my mom told me yesterday, she said, I watch your show, but she said, as soon as you guys start talking soccer, we're done. So, Mom, we're going to talk soccer now, so...
She's going to keep it on, I think.
She's going to keep it on because I challenged her.
Robin Lode really did the job.
Yeah.
You don't have to have these 30-yard drop kick me, through the goalposts of life type deal. It was a little flick. 81 minutes into the game, and the Loons went up and never looked back.
Well, the thing about it is Seattle Sounders came in 8-0-5, hadn't lost on the season yet, and they beat Seattle. And of course, there's a little history with Seattle about playing out in Seattle.
They've
and losing
never
in
beat
Seattle and blah blah blah, all this other stuff. So yesterday's 1-0 win was ginormous as far as I'm concerned, as far as the Loons and their belief system and this thing going in the right direction. You hold Seattle to no goals. It's a big win.
Oh, I enjoyed it, and I'll tell you, it was so hot down there, and these guys, hey, they were dying. The crowd was going nuts, and they were,
There was no liquid encouragement in those fans.
Yes, there was.
I bet they were perfectly clean.
Listen, they would have been
This dries
totally
the Munich.
they'd have been totally dehydrated and sober if they had not
There you
did
go.
what they do. So, but they looked like they were having a really good time.
The Loons get Portland on Saturday. Should be another great match again. One of those things. Maybe I should take Saturday off, and we should go watch golf in the afternoon and the Loons in the evening,
Oh boy.
and then make it back for the Rainy Lake Blues Hour at 10 o'clock on
That'd be
KGHS 95.
You're going to drink water.
Hey,
So-
that kind of subtlety. I got from
I
the
saw
House
the
of
House
Blues
of
t-shirt.
Blues shirt on.
This is subtlety, but it was just a coincidence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Who's the athlete?
How about that's Ty Boyle. How about the expansion draft? Do we want to talk about your Kraken at all?
Well,
George?
we have to, but I tell you what, I wrote down a list of what they figured would be the top candidates.
Oh, I didn't like what I saw on one of the things today because they said Capo Kakinen's gone from the Wild.
Well,
He would be
but
selected.
they were talking about, they says, Carey Price from Montreal's #1 pick. Well, maybe they want him. And
He's originally from the Northwest area, from British Columbia. I think I read somewhere. Keep going.
there is not one person in the top 9 that has Minnesota Wild next to it. Now, that being said, I think that Suter and Zach Parise are going to be they're going to be negotiating to beat the band here in the next few days if they're not already.
Yeah,
And
we didn't mention the bombshell that the Wild dropped earlier in the week.
Yes.
With the buying out of the contracts of Zach Parise and Ryan Suter. That was huge news, and it allowed Minnesota to protect 2 other players in the expansion draft, and I'm sure Matt Dumbo was one of them, and I'm not sure who the other one would be, but it's inconsequential at this point. But yeah, it was a big surprise to see both those guys get their contracts bought out at the same time. They signed at the same time, they get their contracts bought out at the same time, and apparently from the rumor mill that I'm hearing, Parise got the phone call first, and before Aaron could talk to Suter, Parise got on the phone with Suter. Now, I don't know if that's true, but Suter kind of was like, what? You got dropped? And then he said the phone call came, and he was getting dropped type
well,
of thing.
from what I understand, even Neil Sheehy was surprised.
And Neil Sheehy, Suter's agent, was a little bit surprised. And yeah, absolutely, everything to be there. But I would get each team in the expansion draft is going to lose 1 player, and Seattle has to take, and if I got these numbers right in my head, 14 forwards, 9D, and 4 goalies. They've got to take at least that, and then they can add 3 additional in whatever area they decide. So you know they're going to take 4 goaltenders. So could Carey Price from Montreal go? Yeah, absolutely. I can see it happening. Could be somebody else, but you got to figure that Capo Kakinen is one of those interesting choices.
What is he? 21 years old. He's one of the hottest young goaltenders in the
And his
league.
contract's only $725,000.
Like that.
So that's
Moneyball. There we are.
But other people think it's going to be Carson Soucy, big, tough, 6'5" defenseman who had the best plus minus for the Wild this past season. Played 56 games, did the things. So some other people are thinking that Kapanen's going to stay, or Kakkonen, excuse me, is going to stay, and it could be Soucy that's gone, and that would hurt because we just lost Suter. Now you lose Soucy. Now you're trying to find defensemen in the free agency. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out on Wednesday night. I'd like to say that I was going to get to watch it, but I'm not. It's going to be on ESPN2, the whole expansion draft thing. So, but I'm going to be a little busy with Legion Baseball, and we'll talk about that in a second. So, hopefully the Wild don't get scalded too bad.
I was going to say, I need to leave here in a minute, but I want to hear what happened to this American Legion Baseball. Because I heard you on the radio. I know something was going on. I had to go to the lake, so I didn't end up getting the end of the game.
So senior Legion baseball team's playing in a game that the first game of the tournament, and if they win, they get to go home.
Right.
So they fall behind 5-1. They tie it at 5 in the 5th. It goes to the 6th inning. Jet Tomczak hits a home run in the top of the 6th. They go up 6-5. Taconite Greenway comes back, ties it in the bottom of the 6th. 6-6. Falls leaves a runner on in the top of the 7th. Taconite leaves the bases loaded in the bottom of the 7th, so it goes to extra innings. And then the Falls exploded for 5 hits. They got a couple of errors from Taconite, and they go up 11-6. And I'm like, I'm going home. This is good. I'm going to get to go home. They get the first out on the first batter. I'm like, I guess 2 more outs. Then a walk, a base hit, and a walk loaded the bases. And you can see the boys tighten up a little bit. And they got 2 runs to get it to 11-8. Phil Talmadge called the timeout, walked out on the field, and I thought those will calm the boys down. And they got an out, but then they gave up 2 more runs and made it 11-10. And then they got 2 more runs, and they ended up losing 12-11. So the Legion team had to come back and play late into Saturday night. The game got done about 10:30 in Ely. And they came back and beat Cook County 11-1. So they advance on, and now they play Aiken, who I believe is the #1 seed coming into the tournament.
Where are they playing that at?
They will be playing that in Nashwauk on Wednesday night at 7:30. That's the reason why the expansion draft starts at 7, and I'll be a little busy at 7:30. So, but it was an exciting day. It was a heartbreaking day. Jets home run in the 6th inning was one of those that ball's really hit, and then it's like, holy smoke, that thing's going to carry out of the ballpark and out into the street there in Ely, and it was pretty cool.
Young Jets, pretty explosive athlete.
Yeah, a couple home runs in the last week. He had a 6-for-6 day last Tuesday at Barnum. 6 for 6, 5 runs scored, 3 RBIs, including a 3-run home run, and stole 3 bases.
What, he couldn't sell popcorn?
Yeah, he couldn't get a triple for the cycle to blue. Yeah, so anyway, great week by Jet Tomczak. So yeah, it's going to be fun. It'll be tough. Aiken went to the state high school baseball tournament, so Aiken will be a tough gig, but it's a double elimination tournament. And again, more shameless plugging. You can listen to the game on K104 and RJBroadcasting.com. So there you go. You get that stuff out there. So
all right, well, I appreciate you guys having me out. I gotta go pick up someone at the airport.
We gotta discuss.
Okay, so good to see you.
Great to see you. And say hi to your wife for us.
All right, we'll do.
That'd be awesome. I'm sure we're not going to get to cross paths in between.
No, but who knows? Maybe this fall we could run into him in Grand Forks. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, or maybe at a football game up here.
That'd be great.
All right.
That'd be great.
All right, appreciate it.
Hi, Boyle, everybody joining us here, and George, I got what did I have left? I thought I had one more thing, but I really don't. We got to the expansion draft, and you got anything else left?
Well, yeah, there's just a couple of things that I could talk about here. Number one is, as you all know, baseball has outlawed substance on the baseball. Yeah, and so when they first did this, pitchers were saying, "Oh, it's going to be a lot safer for the hitter if we have control."
Yes.
Well, and as it turns out, they do have a lot more control because the amount of pitches that have been effective has dropped like that.
Let me put this out here.
Yeah.
So that everybody can see.
See that just square drop on there?
That's when things change.
And that's what happens is they're able to measure the rotation of the ball with cameras. And they've lost a lot more rate of rotation, the ball cannot go fluttering all over the place.
Apparently this hasn't affected the Twins as they scored 4 runs. Anyway.
Yes. No, I'm not sure, but I just know that the Twins they follow the rules and would never put substances on their baseball.
Never.
They did have a couple of other guys in the past but that's in the past. You know, I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to watch the Twins play when the Angels come to town.
Sure.
And we have to enjoy the game for the sake of the game. And we take a look. I mean, every time I see Nelson Cruz go up to bat, I'm thinking, is this going to be the last time I see him? You know, and
because could be traded in the middle of the game. You're right. You could be gone in the middle.
Yeah.
Like I said, Donaldson, Sano, Polanco, any of these guys. Last time you see a guy pitch, I mean, seriously, it could happen that quick.
That quick. And they actually could have a bus running from St. Paul right now, direct. It's very convenient having the Saints there. So, hey, what are you doing today?
Yeah, absolutely.
So other than that, hey, the sports are going to start picking up. This was a long one for sports, and we have Vikings starting camp here.
That's next week.
That's next week.
I mentioned that at work today. I told Mike, I said, you know, the scary part, all this stuff is going on, and I said, and the Vikings start training camp next week.
Yeah.
I said, towards the end of the week, I think it's like Thursday or something, and I'm like, I'm ready, but I don't know if I'm going to be ready with the Olympics going on and everything else. It's going to get crazy.
Well, maybe the radio will send us down and we can
do a little coverage. Well, that'd be okay.
Yeah.
So, anything else?
I think I got it covered from this end as I.
Yeah. George, Rainy Lake Blues Hour. Don't forget Saturday nights. 10 o'clock.
We had a good time, the Ghost and I, and laughed and giggled, and there's
Show
one.
went on without me is what he's trying to say.
Well, there was one song that Paul Butterfield did, and he says, "Who's that singing in the background?" I says, "Well, that's Maria Moldauer." I knew it was Maria Moldauer. He says so. He kind of got into it. It was fun. But yeah, we'll get the team back together this week, and
we'll see what happens.
Yes.
And like I said, it's been fun. People's tongues are wagging. They seem to be enjoying the show.
I've always caused wagging tongues from time
sometimes
to time.
Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
That's right.
It goes.
Thank you for everything.
Thanks everybody for watching. Talk to you next week. Thanks for time.